gave them just 3 days notice to evacuate. They're simply not happy and say there is more to it than the reasons the AMA is giving.
I am unhappy, seriously, realistically I'm unhappy. Yes, sir. Because, you know, Ghana is governed by rules and regulations. Even if someone is renting your room, you must give him at least 90 days. We are just get a notice within 3 days that we should move with immediately effect, which is very, very prohibited. People who are dwelling here is more than 5,000 capacity. So if it's okay like that, how are we going to stay? Where are we going to stay? What should I do?
Even right now, if they want clear for here going to be more than that. Right now, we not beg them to help us, but we're ready to help ourselves. So where is the help? Where our future leaders and no, not our leaders for here, where will the help where they take help us? They don't feel help us. Even our children say, now where are they going? Or we ready to see say we will grow finish. But our children, even me said, my children, I got 3 children, they go private school. In my sweat, not like say I'm going to make somebody they go out. See my
Amidst the shock and anger, do these slum dwellers have a right? The AMA says the unhygienic conditions under which the people live is to blame for the recent cholera outbreak in the metropolis. Is this the most humane approach, and is clearing them without providing an alternative not even more dangerous if cholera is cited as reasons for the demolition? This is today's big story with me, Stephen N.T. Accra Metropolitan Assembly has defended its decision to pull down some hundreds of illegal structures at Mensah Guninea, a suburb of Accra. Residents who are mainly fisher folks say they have been living in the area for close to 30 years and feels angered by the reasons AMA is given for kicking them out of the place.
That reason, unless they assess,
But do you said it's a lie. So what is the truth?
The truth is there's no cholera here. There's no cholera here. They want sack us here and take the land to do something. The matter be that.
And today you have nowhere to go to.
It's true. Even say if I come and see here, I've complete pipe here.
He's asking us to see something else.
Yeah, see.
So what was this supposed to be?
See, yeah.
Okay, so we're moving in into his structure. That's his bathroom.
Support them here. See now, see. I get child. Now you go for university. Now see, how can I get money?
So this was supposed to be your bathroom.
Yes.
Were you taking money?
Yes.
And that's what you use in supporting your child.
Every month they collect 100,000 on it.
10 Ghana cedis. Yes. You give it to the AMA every month.
Yes.
Wow. Amazing. And today you are being evicted.
So what I will do?
Yeah, so for the past 3 years you've been here?
Yeah, I am here.
Where's your house? Can you show me where your house is?
My house already has been destroyed.
It's been destroyed?
Destroyed already.
So why are you going to sleep this night?
I don't know where to sleep. Sometimes I will go sleep to the AMA office. That is where I'm planning to go and sleep right now.
Right, Joy News editor Prince Minka was there. We'll later bring you his interaction with the people. But let's get on to the telephone lines now and speak to Dr. Simpson Boating, who is Director of Public Health at AMA. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Now, can you confirm to us the reasons the AMA is demolishing this place? The residents say that only 2 people have died of cholera in the area, but your statistics are different?
No, the truth is that 15 people have died within this few period. I mean, this short period. 15 people have died, and we have the evidence for that.
Right. So when you say evidence, it means that you have what? You have reports, medical reports that suggest 15 people died, or there is more to it than just the cholera. Is there anything else?
No, I'm talking about the cholera.
Yeah,
Apart from the cholera, yes, I'm talking only about the cholera case.
That's right, only about the cholera.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
let's look at the cholera itself. I mean, the cholera is the main reason why city authorities are telling us they demolish the place. You are public health, so I won't bother you with details of the demolition, but I need to know how bad was the cholera situation in this area. Now, the residents are saying AMA blames the whole metropolis outbreak on their small slum. Is this a true representation?
No. We are not blaming the whole problem on, on Mensah Guninea.
Right.
Because there are a lot of Mensah Guineas scattered all over.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So I mean, I don't get what you mean. You mean that Mensah Guninea is only one of the few slums that AMA is targeting to demolish on health grounds?
No, I haven't said that. Apart from Mensah Guninea, there are other slums to be demolished. No, I haven't said that. What I'm saying is that Mensah Guninea is one of the areas which are cholera prone. I mean, the conditions there give rise to the outbreak of cholera in the city. Yes.
I understand. That's fair. Now, tell us what other plans there are. One, because if this is a public health issue, you are moving the people out, you have to also consider that they will be relocated to somewhere convenient. So if they have cholera, they possibly won't be spreading it. Or can you tell us what other plans there are?
Listen, you see, the people are dying from cholera, because of the conditions there. I don't know whether you want us to let them remain there so that they will die or what. The place is just not, good for
human habitation.
Yes, that is why we are saying that they should move. It shouldn't exist. If such situation arises and we don't do anything about it, then we will feel more guiltier.
Okay.
So yes, that place has to, be eradicated.
Okay, so on public health grounds, I'm still sticking with the public health angle of this dimension. The key issue is to remove them from the environment where they're likely to get cholera and die. So move them from there to where?
My brother, this is a question you should be asking them, because as far as I'm concerned, nobody has invited them to be there. They don't have any right to that property there. So I think they came from some areas, so they can go back to wherever they have come from.
They claim.
Because if you notice, some of them are even not Ghanaians, and they are there.
I see. I mean, that's a pretty new angle we are getting. So it means that they are claimed that they have been living. Some of them say they've been living there for close to 30 years. Is not a true reflection?
They could have even lived there for 100 years, but they have to show evidence that the place has been earmarked for them to live there. They have to show that they have title to the place.
Yeah, but after squatting for this number of years, they have legal protection. I mean, if you remain at a place for that long, you have a legal protection to be treated decently and humanely when it's time for you to be evacuated.
Please, I don't want to go, to that angle, because that is not an angle I'm looking at. I'm looking at it purely from the public health point of, from the public health point.
Right, but I mean, purely from the public health points, I mean, it's also important that the public health is human rights. So if there's a public health dimension, it's obviously a human rights issue. Did you consider that?
Well, I say my concern is on the public health aspect. People are dying, and as a public health person, I have to ensure that, we bring an end to this misery.
Okay. All right. So let's just say that Mensah Guninea is one of the areas that the city is concerned with. I mean, sanitation. So from Mensah Guninea, where else? Sodom and Gomorrah?
My brother, we are talking about Mensah Guninea now. We are not talking about any other place. We are discussing Mensah Guninea.
Right. I acknowledge that, but what I'm saying is that you made reference to the fact that the unsanitary conditions in this area exist in many other slums as well. So it's fair for us to ask whether the grand plan of the AMA is to remove people from insanitary conditions in these slums and relocate them on health grounds.
It is very true that there are other areas like this again. But we are talking about death toll. And Mensah Guninea has registered the highest number now. So that is where the focus is.
Right.
You know, when we identify another place, which is also, having a lot of deaths, we can also consider that.
Right. So let's now talk about what now happens to the place. I mean, after clearing the people, what is next? Is there a recommendation how to revive the place, or you're going to set up? I mean, what are you going to do to the place after clearing the people?
No, I can't speak to that. I can't, because I don't know. I mean, I don't even like speaking about that. My concern is on the public health dimension, and that is where I'm focusing on.
Right.
You know. Yes.
Right, Dr. Simpson Boateng, Director of Public Health at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. We're grateful for your time on today's big story. Now, earlier I did mention that Joy News reporter Prince Minka went to the site and was present during the demolition exercise. He came through with this report.
This is a makeshift structure, a wooden structure, and this looks like a story building. I mean, that's the staircase over there. That's the staircase, and a bold inscription is there. There's an NDC poster that's faded, meaning that during the electioneering period, some of the politicians were here to campaign.
Tell you, I will not lie to you. Nyamashite got his vote at Art Center. Nilante Vanderpoint, he got his votes here. Yes. And I used to lead Nyamashite when he comes door to door. Yes. I lead him. So today they disappoint us. Yes. They shouldn't say Kolila. I don't get a vote.
This is today's big story. Let's get onto the telephone line now and speak to Farouk Brahima, who is Executive Director of People's Dialogue on Human Settlements. He joins us now. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, my brother.
Now, this is a murky situation. The AMA is saying that the insanitary conditions existing in Mensah Guninea is the reason why they're moving the people out. The people also say they've lived there for close to 30 years, and this doesn't seem to bother the AMA, and they gave them 3 days notice. Now, from the human right angle, I mean, is it right to give somebody 3 days and then you kick them out of wherever they've been for that long, even if not 30 years?
Yeah, thank you so much for your question. You see, the whole issue of evictions and urban development and housing and all of that requires a more holistic diagnosis and approach to the entire situation. Asking whether it is right or wrong, my answer clearly is that when humans live in a community for some number of years, it becomes very, very unacceptable to uproot them within 3 days. But having said that, I'm not too convinced that probably they never received any notice from the city long before. So it's very important to find out what are in the previous notices that they've received from the city before this 3 days notice came.
Right. So in any case, I mean, you accept that moving them like that, 3 days notice, is not exactly fair. But if they do not have legal right to remain there, then the city authority has a mandate to still enforce an eviction?
Coming to the issues of evictions, let me say bluntly that evictions are not allowed within civilized nations and states. In fact, when you talk about forced evictions, let me try to define forced eviction that we can all be on the same page.
Right.
The UN defines forced eviction as involuntary removal of individuals, families, or communities from their homes, land, or neighborhoods against their will. directly or indirectly, by the state. So clearly, it's an affront to human rights. Any attempt to evict people forcefully against their will is an affront. But having said that, what the human rights law seeks to do is to provide procedural limits. There are procedures that you have to follow. And I would want us to focus more on this. The AMA go through the procedures. Now, what are the procedures? One, we don't do forced evictions during rainy season. In bad weather, we don't do them. The laws don't permit you to evict people to the mercy of the rains when it's raining. So I'm not too sure. You are in Accra now. I have left Accra.
Yes.
But I can assure you, we are in the rain. Second, we have to give adequate notice to whoever will be affected. Now, adequate notice here have been interpreted differently. But I would go for a 3 months. That's the practice.
Right.
Between 3 to 6 months is adequate notice. 3, you have to identify all those who will be affected by the eviction. You need to have a database. How many men, how many women, how many children, who will be affected by this eviction? We call it eviction impact assessment. Has the AMA done an assessment? Okay, so if you have not done all this and you don't have provisions for redress so that they can have access to go to court if they feel they have an issue, to give them that due process. I'm afraid if all these procedures have not been met, then it is not a lawful eviction.
Right, Mr. Brima, we're grateful for your time. We'll leave it there. And we've been trying, I must say that we've been trying to reach the AMA to comment on this. The Public Relations Officer, Numo Blafo, earlier did indicate to us before the beginning of this program that the AMA has issued a press release reacting to the concerns that have been raised over the demolition of Mensah Guninea. We're still trying to get them to speak to that issue for some more clarification. But I'm joined in the studio now by Kojo Anani, who is also from the same group, People's Dialogue on Human Settlements. Your programs officer there. My key question, which will be different from what I asked your boss, is that do you see this as a surprise? Did you see this coming? Did you have previous working relationship with slum areas for which you were certain that perhaps one day these groups of people will be moved from here?
Yeah, certainly the issues of evictions has been on for some time now. I mean, the issues of J. Kojo Amasaman and what have you.
Yeah.
Basically working with these people who live around Mensah Guninea, otherwise around the Arts Center. I mean, early last year in April, there was this informal city dialogue that we had. These issues came up, and we know, I mean, the difficulty is organizing the people just around these issues. And like Farouk rightly said, forced evictions is frowned upon, and even Ghana is also even signed on that treaty that you don't forcibly evict people. However, you can do it by giving them adequate notices. I mean, that is very clear.
But on health grounds like this, I mean, the AMA says that the area is a cholera-prone area. So they're actually moving the people to save their lives. It's interesting, right? I mean, here we are. We're saying that in moving them to save their lives, we're being mean to them. Is this right?
I mean, moving them to save their lives, it would have been interesting, yes, if it's really meant for that purpose. And we know, why are they doing this eviction? Because of the outbreak of the cholera. I mean, is it only Mensah Guninea? What of the other slum? What of La? In that order. That is why you need to engage them, to educate them, that people know that whatever you are doing, it is for their own benefit. Then, actually, they will agree with you.
So you feel that the people are really justified in being better because perhaps the AMA didn't do enough sensitization and engagement with them over the issue?
That is what I believe. In your earlier days, people are living there for quite 30 years. Even people will say 40 years. How do we just approve them within?
I mean, even if it's 5 years,
that's the point.
They've set up homes.
That's
and
the
they
point.
Have children.
Children are living there.
Possibly.
I mean, so you have to think about these children. And so for me, constant dialogue and partnership, collaborating. When you engage them, they will know. Let me give you a typical situation like Old Fadama. I mean, derogatively called Sodom and Gomorrah. You know the issues in there. When it's the raining season, people even living there don't want to live there. They would have wished they don't live there. But we know urbanization has caught up with us. And it's not only Ghana. It's a global issue. People are trooping to the cities. Infrastructure does not match the people that are moving in. So what do we do to curb the sprawl? I mean, Ghana, we know rural urban migration in the 1980s. This has continued. What are the cities doing? Perhaps, if you ask, how did Mensah Guninea start?
Somebody allowed them.
That's the point. So if you wait for people to live for all this long and you think that 3 days is enough to move them, then certainly Ghana, we should look more serious. We shouldn't just do ad hoc issues, because you want to do it for the benefit of these people. And remember, Ghana is not in an isolation.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, no country is independent. We are all interdependent. And also, certainly, we have to do real engagement with the people, talk to them, engage them, and give them notices. And when we do that, I think that will help.
So how bad is the situation? I'm asking this on the back of the fact that if the AMA decided that Mensah Guninea will be the first eviction over their attempt to clamp down on cholera, how bad is sanitation in other areas? You mentioned Sodom and Gomorrah. Is it that bad?
This year, the theme for the World Habitat Day celebration is Voices from Slums. And what are they talking about? I mean, when you even look at the definition for slum, then you run a lot of communities in Accra as slum, according to the definition of the UN.
A lot of areas.
I mean, those are the issues. So it's not just moving them, engaging them and educate them, and the rules, let the rules also work. If you allow people to live for all these years, how do you take 3 days to evict them? And you know Ghana and the UN even frowns on forced eviction. And so if you are going to move, yes, cholera outbreak and slums are the most affected areas, I mean, vulnerable areas. We can understand. But we need constant education. I mean, think about the children. Think about the community that we are talking about. I've not been there of late, but about 2,000 plus people live in that community. I mean, stretching from the Ghana Commercial Bank area right down to Ifia Hotel.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's a large area. Now,
area.
if you were the AMA boss, what will you do? I mean, AMA boss is not speaking to us, but you, I mean, you're telling us that their stance is wrong. If you had the mandate to take that decision, what would you do?
So it's engagement.
You will engage them. You will still move them, all right?
You will have to. No,
so we're back at the same place.
If you are moving them, where are you moving them to? And you know, the procedures that we have to follow on before you even evict people, you know, adequate notice, are there alternative solutions to the issue? You know, what are you even thinking of their livelihood? If you are going to move, how did they come there? Is there a way that we can even engage them and do an institute upgrading? You know, and for me, where I'm coming from is an organization that works with slum dwellers and squatter settlers. I mean, mobilizing them around their livelihoods and
you understand their issues better.
Better, that is it. So when you engage them, like I told you, on a rainy day, people even living in those areas would not even want to live there. If they had the means, they would have rented houses elsewhere. So it takes government. The issue of homes and houses is a global issue.
And we have a great housing deficit in Ghana.
I mean, that is the
people
point.
who come from the hinterlands to settle in Accra need a place to stay.
Wonderful.
So the solution to this shouldn't necessarily start from just kicking them out of the slum.
Never.
It should start with effective planning.
Wonderful. And you plan with the poor.
Plan with the poor.
You have to plan with them. You have to engage them. When they say affordable housing, how affordable is the house if the poor cannot pay for it? So you engage them. And sometimes you can even use the rich to sort of subsidize for the vulnerable. It is on this backdrop that, I mean, the housing policy...
You also feel that a lot more could have been done humanely to settle these people. Well, Kojo Anane is with the People's Dialogue on Human Settlement, and we've been discussing the very sad situation of Mensah Guninea, where hundreds of houses have been cleared down by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. I must say that we are unable to get the AMA boss or Numo Blafo, who is the public relations officer, to speak to us about this issue. But our understanding is that the AMA has issued a press release reacting to the concerns that have been raised. We're grateful that you could make time for us here on today's Big Story.